The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WTJX, its board, staff, or underwriters.
When music sounded so good like this, fabulous. Time to show, it's your time, you're nominated.
Good day and welcome to the Washington Report. I'm Congresswoman Plaskett and I'm blessed to serve as the Virgin Islands delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives. The Washington Report was created to inform Virgin Islanders on current federal issues that directly affect our community. I am tremendously honored to have as my guest today House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. He represents the diverse 8th Congressional District of New York and is serving his 6th term in the United States Congress. He was unanimously elected to his current position as the Democratic leader of the House in November of 2022. Leader Jeffries is also the former chair of the Democratic Caucus, whip of the Congressional Black Caucus, and previously co-chaired the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee, where he helped develop the incredibly successful For the People agenda. He has also been a longtime friend of our Virgin Islands and has provided invaluable support for measures that directly impact the Virgin Islands countless times. Welcome to the Washington Report, Leader Jeffries.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. You talk about the beautiful mosaic of the Democratic Caucus. What does that mean to you?
Well, the House of Representatives is the institution that is designed to be the closest to the American people and to reflect the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations, the fears, the concerns, the anxieties, and in the words of the framers, the passions of the American people. And nobody does it better than the House Democratic Caucus, you and all of the wonderful members who we serve together in Congress, because we do mirror the gorgeous mosaic of the American people in every possible way. Race and religion and gender and sexual orientation, life experience, region, as well as ideology in terms of moderate or members of the Blue Dog Coalition or Problem Solver Coalition, you know, the center, left, and left on the American political spectrum. And in many ways, though we are diverse in our life experiences and even in our thoughts, we're unified by a set of values which relate to making life better for everyday Americans and doing it in an enlightened and forward-looking fashion.
So, you know, we talk about your district as well. And when you talk about the beautiful mosaic of the Democratic Caucus, you come from a district that is a tremendous mosaic as well. How would you say that has informed your work as a member of Congress growing up, you know, to be where you are now and in what you push forward here as a member?
I have the opportunity to represent an incredibly diverse district, Stacey, as you've indicated. African Americans, Caribbean Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans, the South Asian community, members of the Jewish community, whether that's the Reform Jewish community or conservative Jewish community, Orthodox Jewish community. I represent actually more Russian-speaking Jewish immigrants from the former Soviet Union than any other member of Congress in the country. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries, who knew? Only in America.
Right.
And so having the opportunity to represent such an incredibly diverse district where more than 36 different languages are spoken in the household or in the public schools has given me an opportunity to both appreciate the diverse cultures that people have when they come to Brooklyn or New York City or to this country, you know, to pursue success in the American dream. But notwithstanding that diversity, that I've found everyone wants the same things. Everyone wants to make sure that when you work hard and play by the rules, you can provide a comfortable living for yourself and for your family, educate your children, hopefully purchase a home, one day retire with grace and with dignity. And That's what unifies the people that I'm represent in Brooklyn. It's also what unifies the American people. And the question that we confront here each and every day is, what side are you on? And I can confidently say that Democrats are on the side of the American people. We work for everyday Americans. We want to do all that's possible for people to live their best possible life and be all that they can be.
I know in the Virgin Islands, those are things that people talk about, right? Home ownership. In the Virgin Islands, if you don't own a piece of land or home, you haven't done what you need to do as yet. You want to have security in your job. You want to have a safe place and a productive place for your children to learn. Own your own business, right? That entrepreneurial spirit as well. One of the things that I know that Democrats are very focused on is in something that is not so prevalent in the Virgin Islands is the issue of policing and how it affects the lives of people of color. You were really instrumental in the First Step Act and putting that into law. What was the impetus behind you being engaged in that? And what was it like really working across the aisle and with a president that you didn't entirely agree with to get that put into law?
Well, we were able to pass criminal justice reform back in 2018 for the first time in more than 25 years and do it in a way that is enlightened, that brings people together, that is designed to appeal to the core decency and humanity of the American people, and to correct some of the overcriminalization that occurred as part of the failed war on drugs. When the failed war on drugs was first launched in 1971, there were less than 300,000 people incarcerated in America. Today, 2.3 million. We incarcerate more people than any other country in the world per capita, including China and Russia combined. It's a stain on our democracy, and a disproportionate number of those individuals who've been incarcerated are Black or Latino or poor and white, and have borne the brunt of the mass incarceration phenomenon that we've confronted in America. And so we were able to pull together a coalition of Democrats and Republicans, progressives and conservatives, the left and the right, to do something about overcriminalization. And as you indicated, work with the Trump administration.
It pained you to almost say that. I saw that. I could see that.
It's important to be able to find common ground.
Sure. Yes.
Whenever and wherever possible,
Yeah.
and we authentically believe that is the right thing to do.
It is, yeah.
While at the same time oppose the extremism and the foolishness and the nonsense whenever necessary. And so, in the context of criminal justice reform, we were able to find that common ground.
Yeah.
With the Trump administration, led by Jared Kushner, who was sort of the point person within the administration, working with Doug Collins, the former conservative Republican from rural Georgia, who was the lead Republican on the issue and served on the House Judiciary Committee. And I think it has withstood the test of time. Thousands of people have been released from incarceration, having completed their sentences and successfully been transitioned back into society as productive citizens. And others who were clearly locked up for extended periods of time for non-violent drug offenses have been able to obtain their freedom earlier than what would have otherwise been possible, and gone on to contribute to their communities. But it was just a first step. And we've indicated that we need to take the next step and a subsequent step in order to smash mass incarceration in America. And I'm thankful that Democrats and Republicans have come together on this issue to try to do things in a way that is consistent with who we are as a country. And I appreciate your leadership in helping to make sure that that legislation made it over the finish line. I think more than 90% of the people who have been released as a result of the First Step Act were Black men.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, you talk about when you described your district, one of the groups that you talked about were Caribbean Americans, right? And of course, Virgin Islanders and other people from so many Caribbean islands have moved to that area, not just for the opportunities that were there with employment, but because when you see like people, other immigrants, not just even Caribbean, but Jewish immigrants, Italians, Irish, you kind of congregate together. What are some of the things that you're thinking about in terms of, I know that so many members of Congress are talking about temporary protective status, changes in immigration law. How much do you think we can progress in that area to have sensible, comprehensive immigration laws that allows individuals to be able to come out from behind the shields that's holding them from being fully productive like they'd like to in this country?
It's an incredibly important issue. And first of all, let me say back at home, Caribbean American community has contributed a lot to the vibrancy of our Brooklyn neighborhoods and throughout New York City and beyond. And people from the Virgin Islands have been an important part of that Caribbean American community in New York City. And I'm very proud of you and your leadership and your connection to New York City as well. And so we all appreciate that. But we have a broken immigration system. It needs to be fixed. But it needs to be fixed in a way that is consistent with our values as a nation of immigrants, recognizing that one of our strengths competitively throughout the world is the fact that we have such diverse talent that comes to the country to work hard, make it here in America, pursue the American dream, and contribute to the broader society. And that's something that should continue to be welcomed. At the same period of time, we also are a nation anchored in the rule of law. And so we've got to figure out how we can both address, through comprehensive immigration reform, those individuals who are contributing to communities here in America but may be out of status. And how do we create a strong, fair, and robust pathway towards citizenship? That's going to be important. I think we probably are going to have to start with some of the things that were in the Dream and Promise Act to be there for dreamers and for TPS recipients, and then see where we can find common ground above and beyond that in order to resolve the issues related to our immigration system. Make sure that we are lifting up families, immigrant families, but of course, fighting hard to make sure, as was done by President Obama and is now being done by President Biden, that there is order at the border.
You know, I love what you said about part of our excellence, American excellence, is innovation. And that innovation, a large part of it is because of the diversity we have, right? That we're always able to bring in new people to create new ideas, new innovation, to reinvent ourselves over and over again. And having that immigration continue, that ordered immigration as part of the American ethos allows us to be that way. I know you're incredibly busy, so I don't want to keep you very long. But one thing that I know so many people wonder about and come and ask me about is, you know, you should, in my estimation, God, from my mouth to God's ears, the Democrats be in the majority in the next Congress, you are poised to be the next Speaker of the House. Is that something that you thought about being when you were young? Or is this something that evolved over time? And when did this actually come to your mind? Oh my gosh, I'm actually going to be potentially the next Speaker of the House. And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, I tell people all the time, I'm just trying to get to tomorrow and the next week and the next month, because the challenges that we confront, and you're helping to lead the charge for us in leading the pushback against the so-called weaponization committee and standing up for American values, and you're standing up for the rule of law
Well,
and
I'm
liberty
just
and
grateful
justice
to be
for all.
part of the team.
Well, it's incredible.
Mr. Leader,
It's incredible
the
work,
boss.
and it's part of what we all have to deal with. So, you know, as the transition was underway, you know, from member of the Congress to chair of the House Democratic Caucus, and now from chair of the House Democratic Caucus to House Democratic leader, you know, I just paused for a moment and reflected upon the fact that I'm someone who grew up in Crown Heights, you know, born in Brooklyn Hospital, working class neighborhood, you know, raised at a difficult time in New York City, came of age in the 80s and early 90s in the middle of the crack cocaine epidemic. Started out in the Cradle Roll Department, grew up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church, and somehow was able to travel along this journey to serve my communities in the United States Congress, and now be able to serve the nation in this capacity as House Democratic leader. And it for me, is another reaffirmation, just another small data point, that in America, we truly do believe in government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's what you represent. That's what I represent. That's what all House Democrats are fighting to do, to make life better for the people, to put people over politics, to do the right thing. You know, we run to win, but we win to govern. We govern to get big things done that make life better for the American people. And I'm just honored to have this opportunity, and I'm going to work hard to be the best representative that I can be.
So for the young Black boy in Crown Heights to the young Black girl who lives in Round the Field in St. Thomas, or Frederickstead, a little boy in Frederickstead, St. Croix, out in Coral Bay, St. John, what do you say to them about, you know, who are interested in public service or interested in making a difference?
Well, follow your heart, follow your passion, work hard, always do the right thing, and get involved, because our future really is in the hands of the young people of the Virgin Islands and in Brooklyn and all across the country. And I believe that we're in good hands, but it's going to mean that some good-natured people who care about the right thing for our communities, our cities, our nation as a whole, decide that they're going to use their talent and their ability and their brilliance and their creativity to make a difference in the lives of others. And there's no more gratifying way to spend your time, I believe, as an adult, than in trying to make a difference for others. And I would encourage those young people to lean in, to dive in, understand that there will be adversity, there will be turbulence. But as I often say to folks, a knockdown is different than a knockout. You will get knocked down in life. It happens to all of us. But you have the ability to pick yourself up off the ground, learn from whatever challenges you encountered, and keep moving forward, dismissing the doubters, and keep marching towards your dream.
Well, I want to thank you for that. And you know, you didn't talk about the fact that I know what an incredibly hardworking person you are, that you're not just passionate about your work. People talk about how articulate you are. I know how hard you work at that, at learning, about continually listening. You're an incredible listener, observer of what is going on all around you. And your heart always comes through in the work that you and your team do as well. So I want to thank you for that. And thank you for coming down to the Virgin Islands multiple times, being a part of what we're trying to do.
I look forward to coming back.
And I know you're the governor, your fraternity brother is always got a place for you as well. So thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you.
Yeah. When music sounded so good like this. Fab.